Hi, welcome to class today. I want to use this opportunity to show you just an easy way to do frequency distribution. Right? We have a simple example here that would help us do this. And I'm going to walk you through step by step. And we're going to try and do a few things. We're going to try and find the frequency, relative frequency, cumulative frequency, and cumulative relative frequency. And we can get this done in less than 30 minutes. And just understanding the concept is key. So you can see from the question, a social scientist is trying to study the use of iPods by college students. We're told that the sample is 45. If you're not sure about how they came up with 45, that's easy. You do equal to, you type in count. And what count does is that it actually helps you count all your numbers. And you can see it gives you 45, just if you're someone who you're doubting Thomas, right? So you're able to get 45 right there. All right, but we're told to create a frequency, construct a frequency distribution with 5 classes. Now I've gone ahead and written this just to save time for the video, but in your case, you will have to create this yourself. So it says 5 classes. So I'm going to go ahead and do the 5 of them there. So what am I saying 45? 5. All right. So this is to help me know that I'm going to have a hard stop here, right? This is just to let me know, hey, you need to stop there, right? And so I'm going to help remind myself that I have to stop right there. Okay. So to be able to do that, the first thing you want to do is the formula for when it comes to creating your class width, but that's how you're going to be able to do it, right? You have your lower, this is for your lower class, this is for your upper class. And the formula actually is usually your range over the number of classes. All right, and that gives you a class width. And so being able to follow this simple process will actually help you get your answer. So to find out range, remember range is basically your maximum versus subtracted minus your minimum, right? So we're going to find our minimum first. So we'll do a minimum, which is basically the smallest number that you have. And you can do this you can also do sort and filter. You can also select this. You can go to sort and filter right here, and then it will sort and give you the highest number or the lowest number. But we want to use Excel to find these answers. And so we're going to do it in a more correct format. The maximum just means the largest number that you have. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the same selection here. And you can see that. Now, remember, we say the range is basically maximum versus, I keep saying versus, is your maximum minus your minimum. So that's equal to your maximum minus your minimum, like you see 9. So that's your range. Remember, the formula is your range minus a number of classes. So a number of classes from this question is 5. And so your class width will basically be equal to 9 divided by 5. And so we get 1.9, 1.8. Now, this depends on what your professor wants you to achieve. For me, I like to round this to a whole number. And so I will say that this is 2. Now, even when I have 1.2 or 1.3, I tell my students write it up. And so even if you have 1.2 here, I'll write it up to 2. The reason is because if you round down, when you get to the end, sometimes you have an issue where you won't be able to cover your last class, will not be able to cover the maximum number that you have. So writing up, no matter what number you have, prevents that. So we encourage students to do that. All right, so now what we have is our class width is 2. Now, the class width is 2. One thing to remember is if your class width is 2, students sometimes think that, oh, and I'll show what I'm trying to say. So to start, your lower number, your lowest number is usually your smallest number, right? So that's 1. Now, students think that if the class width is 2, That means if my lowest number is 1, then I will say 1 plus 2, and this is 3. That's not correct. Because if you do 1 and then 3, that means it's 1, 2, 3. So actually you have 3 instead of what? 2. All right. The question is saying 2. Right. And so this is actually 3. And so that's an error that you don't want to do in your exam. So the best way to do it here is to say, okay, I know that this should be 2, right? Because they're only class width is 2. So 1, 2. So you can do that. Now, if we're going to use Excel to solve our problems, then let's do it in Excel format. So if this is 2, then that means this is 3, this is 5, this is 7, this is 9, right? Just using our way to do it. So I would advise you when you're solving this, except if you have a professor who tells you otherwise, your lower number will be 1 and your class width will be used to add for all your lower numbers, right? So for this one, it will be equal to 1 plus the class width. So that gives you 3. But because 2 is going to be the same number you're going to use to add all the numbers. So when you get 3 here, 2 will give you 5, 2 will give you 7, 2 will give you 9. We make this constant. And in Excel, the formula is F4, F as in Frank, F4. Or if you have a MacBook, that's Command T, T as in table. And so you press that F4, and what it does is it holds that. And so you can now move your mouse, which you can see how it looks like a cursor, which looks like a white big cross, turns to the edge and it turns into a black. Only when it does this, then you just click and drag, and you can see it adds up 5, 7, 9. So you see you're done with this. Now we know that this is going to be 2, right? So this is 3, this is going to be 4, so this is 5, this is going to be 6, this is 7. We know that. But if you know, a professor would probably want you to do everything in the Excel formula. And the reason is because when you make a mistake, you can easily fix it if it's done in Excel formula. That's the beauty of Excel. So here I'll just say this is equal to, same process. I'll do this, and then I'll do plus, I'll do plus width. I will also still do my F4 to make it static, but I'll make a small change, right? I'll make a small change. What I would do here is that because I know that I'll put -1 on this. When I do that, what it does is that all my numbers here will now change. Now I'm going to make this bigger because it looks like my screen is a little bit small, so you can't see some of the things I'm doing. And so let me make the screen much bigger so you can see. All right. So you can see what we did here is what we did here is similar to this. Only difference here is that we said, okay, we're going to subtract 1, right? Because it's going to be 1 less. And so we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And so we have our lower and we also have our upper, right? In one small move. The next step is to find our frequency. Now the frequency just means the number of times a number occurs, right? So for example, how many times does 4 occur here? How many times does 6 occur here? And the rest, right? And this will help us in our next video when we do, when we're finding our mean of a given frequency distribution. So here, and this also, to do frequency, it really depends, because what it's asking you here is how many numbers in this whole 45 numbers are between 1 and 2. So how many 1s and how many 2s will be here? How many 3s and how many 4s are here? How many 5s and how many 6s are here? If you add this up, it should give you 45. If it doesn't, it's a problem somewhere. Now, Excel has a very good formula that does it. So you type in frequency, and it tells you you should select data array, which means all the numbers that you have here. So all your numbers here, that's your data array, right? So you select those numbers. And then it says you should select your beans array. Now, this is basically the edge or the maximum values in every class. So if you see in this first class, for example, you had 1 and 2. So the boundary was 2. The next one, it was 4, was 6, was 8, and 10. So what it's just telling you is, tell us what the boundary is. That way Excel knows that any number between 1 and 2 falls in this first one, and anything more than 2 falls into the second one, anything more than 4 falls into the third one, and so on and so forth. And so I will go ahead and select all this. Now, I don't need to select the last one because Excel knows that any number more than 8 will fall into the last class, right? So I select that. Now, it depends on what computer you're using. Some computers, you have to do like you can go ahead and press enter and it will work. Some you have to do a shift enter before it works. Some you have to make all this constant. So make it static by putting pressing F4 here, F4 here, F4 here, and F4 here. So it really depends on what kind of computer you're using. So mine is easy enough, and it just does it for me when I just press enter. But you want to always watch to see how yours work. It doesn't work. F4 on each of them usually helps you get to that. Now, we want to see if this is correct. So we can do that by saying, let's sum this up, right? And you can see it gives us 45, which is the same number that we had here. Why am I using such color? So I'm going to use something that is small so you can see the same as this number. So you've got your frequency. So that means that there are only 2 numbers between 1 and 2, and only 13 numbers between 3 and 4. Now, relative frequency is pretty easy. Think of relative frequency as probability, basically. So the probability that you will select a number between 1 and 2 out of all these numbers. You can see that 1 and 2 only has 2 numbers, and the total sample space or the total possible numbers are 45, right? So so relative frequency just means what percent or what probability, right, of these numbers, in this case, two numbers, 1 and 2 are in a total of what, 45. And so to get that right, with number that is between 1 and 2, which is 2 numbers, so there are only 2 numbers, right, in this class divided by your total numbers that you have. So for the first one, it will be 2 out of 45. The next one will be 13 out of 45, because basically the percent of this class compared to the total. The next one is 14 out of 45. Next one is 12 out of 45, and so on. And to make this easy for you, since 45 seems to be the denominator and it's staying put, it's not moving, right? But the rest are moving. You want to make this static. So you press F4 or Command T, and then you can go ahead and drag this. And when you add this up, it should give you 1. If it doesn't give you 1, then there's a problem. The reason why it gives you 1 is that, remember, you're dividing a part by this total. And so at the end of the day, when you add all the parts, it should all give you 1. Now, you can see, you can leave this way now, but most cases, relative frequency is usually, one of the things we like to do is to see it in the form of a percent. So this might be a good way to, to leave it in the form of a percent. And then this is a discussion of whoever your professor is, or what the instructor is looking for. Now, cumulative frequency just means the addition of frequencies. So just addition of these frequencies. So for example, we're saying that this one is 2. So the next one will be what? 15. That's 2 plus 13, 15, right? Next one is 15 plus 14, which will be what? 29. So you're just adding the frequencies. That's why it's called cumulative frequency. So it's pretty basic. You just do equal to, select the first one, which is 2, right? So that's 2. And so you can see that we have that as 2. This is decreasing decimal, so you can always use this to kind of decrease your decimal if you're worried about that. So this is 2. The next one will be 15, right? Because it's going to be 2 plus 13. And so we do 2 plus 13. Now we're selecting this 2 instead of this 2 because we want Excel to see this as addition of this plus this gives you this. So this plus 14 gives you, 29, 29 plus 12, just that format, right? I said plus 13, not 14. So you can see it gives you 15. And once you do the second one, Excel now knows what you're trying to do, and you can just drag, and Excel will just add it up for you, right? The beauty of Excel is that it has a memory to remember how you got it. So you can see you got 45 here, you got 45 here, so your cumulative is correct. Now, cumulative relative frequency is the same thing as cumulative frequency. Only difference is that now you do relative frequency. So at this point, when you reach to this stage, you'll get 1, right? Because that's where relative frequency adds up to 1. So let's make this a different color. So you do the same process, right? For the first one, cumulative frequency, you're adding frequency. So this one will be 4, right? For the second one, it's going to be 4.4 plus 28.89. And then once you get that number, if you just add the rest, you just drag, you can see you have 100%. Now, why do we use relative frequency? Why do we use cumulative frequency? Imagine if you want to select something that stops at 6. Let's assume that you want to find how many people, I don't know, but you select that 6. You can say, okay, 31% is 6 or less, right? 31%. All right. So actually, that's not a more effective way to look at it. I'll say this one. Sorry, my bad. 64.44% is 6 or less. Yeah, that makes more sense. And so that's why cumulative relative frequency or any of this is helpful, right? Okay. All right. Oh, there are 29 numbers. In this case, the 29 numbers that are 6 or less. All right. All right. So that's the beauty of this. And I hope this video helps you understand how to do this. And when you're doing it, you won't have any issues. Thank you for watching, and good luck in your class, in your exams, in your class, and bye.